Whether it's bad planning, bad luck, bad timing, or bad inventions, well-intentioned bad decisions have plagued history for thousands of years. Welcome to Historic Hindsight.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Historic Hindsight. I'm John, that's Tom, and today we're going to talk to you about the Beatles.
That's right, Johnny, the Beatles in their yellow submarine. We all live in a yellow submarine. We're gonna get sued by the Beatles.
No, too much. Yeah, you gotta
too much.
That's too long.
Too long.
Yeah, just real quick. So the yellow submarine. We're gonna talk about the societal impact, the
cultural impact.
Impact.
Yeah. Or the first. At least we're gonna talk about the first successful in quotation marks military submarine that actually sunk a war vessel, and by actually sunk as a submarine, these are all very loose terms that we're going to use here today. But we're going to talk about.
All right, so hold up. So I'm off base again. We're not the Beatles.
Not the Beatles. No, not the Beatles.
Actual submarines.
Actual submarines.
All right, how far back are we going then?
Back to 1863 and 1864 during the Civil War with the HL.
U.S. Civil War.
62, 63. Sorry, 62, 63. I jumped ahead of you for some reason.
Shit.
Anyways, 62, 63 with the HL Hunley, also known as the c.s.s. Hunley, which was the first combat submarine to sink a warship. And I use that very loosely, and I'll explain why later. But, I mean, it was a submarine. It did sink a warship, but it didn't really do it as a submarine when it sank it. So, I mean, but we'll get to that.
Okay, all right. We'll get to that. But real quick, so Civil War, if I remember correctly from just a few weeks ago, we also had the first full iron boats.
Full iron boats fighting at each other. Yep.
After we made a full iron boat, we're like, why don't we take? I assume submarines are made out of iron.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, they thought, well, it's hard to make it float, so why don't we make it so it
just sinks
a little bit, and then we'll just fight from down there? Was that the kind of idea behind it? Who thought of this shit?
Who's
like, why don't we go under the water?
You're not really too far off. So, random history though. There was actually a submarine that was built. I'm aware of that was in the Revolutionary War. Now it didn't sink anything. It wasn't like used as a combat.
Okay, all right.
vessel.
Is this a dude with a bamboo straw?
Calls himself
a submarine?
Yeah. Basically,
or is this like when you're in summer camp and you take that canoe or whatever, and you can hold it over your head and then get the air and just walk on the ground?
Yeah, basically the Revolutionary War one was the guy in a wooden whiskey keg with a fucking straw. That's kind of basically what it was. There's more to it than that.
That's not a submarine. That's a submersed human. Is what that is.
This is actually. These are actual military.
This is legit.
This is a legit submarine. Yes.
Okay.
With the ability to rise and sink and all that stuff. Not just sink.
Purposefully.
Purposefully sink and then
to
purposely
go
come.
Down. Yeah.
Well, at least supposed to purposely come back up.
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say because I can sing just about any. We can get stuff sunk. That's not the problem. It's getting it back up.
So at the very start of the war, the Union initiated the Anaconda Plan. So if you've been following Civil War in hindsight, here's a plug for that. You know that the big plan for the Union was to just blockade the Confederates, starve them out.
Yeah,
the problem will solve itself in 2 to 5 years. It'll square itself out. Eventually. So at the very start of the war, the Confederates offered $50,000 reward to anyone who sank a Union warship. So it didn't matter how you did it.
Hold up. $50,000.
$1,000 in
1862.
Yes. Although this is 50,000 Confederate dollars, which is equivalent to approximately a nickel, maybe, if you're lucky. So
just worthless currency. It's monopoly money. You're not a real country.
No, it was worthless.
Your currency's never taken off. It'll be worth something to Pawn Stars in 100 or 250
maybe,
years or whatever.
Maybe, maybe.
Like if you can get a good piece of Confederacy currency, maybe you'll sell that for $25-$30 or whatever.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
If you are a believer in the Confederacy, which the Confederates were, they were going to think that money was worth something, and did you do the conversion?
Oh no, I didn't do because I didn't know how would you. Do I do it in Confederate dollars? Because it's nickel. Yeah. It's a nickel. It's worth a nickel.
Yeah, it's literally nothing.
Or do I do it in greenbacks?
US dollars though. But if it was if the Union were to offer 50,000, that's $1 million. That's $1 million.
It'd be at least around $1 million, if not more.
That's insane. Yeah. So this is insane money. So anybody that could sink a Union ship,
insane amount of money. Yeah. Theoretically, yes.
You get $50,000 of Cole's cash.
Cole's cash. Yep. So there's a Reverend Franklin Smith who advocated that the best way to do this was using submarines. He must have read articles about the Revolutionary War and the idea that you could have a submarine because submarines existed. Yeah. This wasn't the
very first one.
No. It's just the very first military submarine that sunk a military boat. It's
now because at this point, people had been going down in suits to go do shipwrecks.
I don't know.
Did the suits exist yet?
I don't know. I don't think so. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe.
But in any case, the idea of humans submerging themselves in a vessel in the water
that's happened.
Existed, and they're just like, hey, maybe that's a good way that we can collect on this ransom, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So enter Tennessee-born Horace Lawson Hunley, who was a practicing lawyer. Yeah, he's a practicing lawyer in New Orleans. So he is nothing but the monopoly man. He's Mr. Moneybags. He actually has money, and so he's gonna bankroll. He's like, I could use more money. $50,000 is a lot. $10 is a lot of money. So he wants that.
Yeah. Well, and he's got the materials to. I guess did he hire out?
Yes, he's going to hire out.
A crew or people or whatever.
Yeah, he's gonna take his money and he's gonna team up with engineer James R. McClintock and Baxter Watson to build, you guessed it, Johnny, the H.L. Hunley, and by that I mean actually the Pioneer, because he's gonna build a couple of boats before the Hunley. The first one is the Pioneer, which is
fair. That's I mean you gotta
build up before, right?
It's a process.
So the Pioneer is a very small, hand-cranked, manually powered submarine. So this is a very small metal
brain.
Yes. So there's no motor in it. There's no steam engine and other things. So you get a guy in the boat, like two dudes. You get one dude cranking and another dude steering. Boat. Yeah, it's a pedal boat. It's a pedal boat that goes underwater.
That can go underwater.
Yes. Yeah.
Those are so inefficient.
Yeah, horribly inefficient.
Oh my god!
That's what this is. It will be successfully tested in February 1862 in the Mississippi River near New Orleans, Nolens. We got Nolens in February. So it's Nolens, so it's not warm, but it's not.
It's fine.
The water's not frozen. Like it's not warm.
Yeah, you're fine.
The water's not.
You'll get over it, and you're inside a vessel. You're fine.
Yeah, you're fine. So they're going to test it in February 1862. It tests well. Hey, it worked. So they're going to tow it to Lake Pontchartrain.
Yeah, you nailed it.
Nailed it. Yeah,
first try. Yeah, you got it the first time. That's what New Orleans Pontchartrain is what it's called.
Pontchartrain will get it. So that you guys, the New Orleans people, will know what that is. It's going to be moved there for additional testing, but it's going to wind up being scuttled in the New Basin Canal on April 25th, 1862, due to Union forces, coming to New Orleans to take it over. So
scuttled?
Yeah, they sink it, intentionally sink it, so that the Union troops can't get it. Although
you should have just said that.
The Union,
also, isn't it supposed to?
Well, sink without the intention of coming back up. Like
it can't come back.
Without, okay. Yeah. Although the Union troops.
Sunk it permanently.
After Union troops, after they take New Orleans, they raise it and they look at it because they're also building their own submarine, and they go, all right, ours is better.
Yeah, this is crap.
Sing it again. After this first setback, the team is going to move to Mobile, Alabama. You know where you need to go, Jenny? You need to go back to Greenbow, Alabama. which I was very disappointed to learn that there is no Greenbow, Alabama. Forrest Gump
I'm
lied to
sorry,
me.
what?
Yeah, there's no Greenbow, Alabama. Forrest Gump lied.
They must have had to change it for some sort of legal reasons because that was a documentary, Tommy.
Yeah, that was a documentary.
Was it not? Like, I mean,
it was about... Johnny and I got sidetracked. They're going to move to Greenbow, Alabama, where they're going to build another submarine.
Not,
and you
not
guessed
Greenbow. Greenbow doesn't exist.
Yeah, Mobile, Alabama.
You're going to go to Mobile, Alabama, to
Alabama,
build a new submarine.
Where they're gonna build a new submarine, and you guessed it's the H.L. Hunley, and instead of actually being the H.L. Hunley, it's called the American Diver, a.k.a. the Pioneer 2. Now,
Wait, the Confederates called it the American Diver?
Yeah, I was...
You can
I
off with that name.
Yeah,
like, what are you doing there?
Yeah, I laughed about that too. You're not Americans anymore.
Assholes.
You left. So the Pioneer, I'm going to call it the Pioneer 2 because you can't call it the American Diver because you're not Americans. So the Pioneer 2 is going to be modeled after the first Pioneer, but a little bit bigger. They're going to try to actually power it this time with a motor. They thought, well, the hand crank didn't really work, so let's actually try to put a motor in it. So their first option was
like a steam engine.
Well, yes, that's their second option, Johnny. Their first option, and I'm not making this up. They try an electric motor. Say what you will about the Confederates, they are environmentalists. They are trying to create the first electric submarine.
Where are we?
It seems a little dangerous.
Now I'm feeling real bad and real dumb. Where are we in the electricity and the motor?
Oh no, there's no light. There's no electric lights. Yeah, no, there's no electric
all right.
lights.
Whew.
Yeah,
I was like, hold up. The Civil War just changed a lot. So
you're
just
fine.
an
electric motor. Like electricity, like they had concepts of early batteries. They had electricity was there.
They knew
but
how to
not
get
for light
shocked.
bulbs. Yes, not for light bulbs. They would use it in like TNT detonating, like that. That was electric.
Okay, that was an electrical, like a charge went off.
Like a charge, That pushing down that plunger creates an electric charge. Yeah, it's like a small little mini generator, if you would. So they do have some concepts of electricity, but yeah, you're right. There's no lights like that.
It's not like a well-established thing where they're running power lines everywhere.
But telegraphs. So telegraphs electricity.
Right. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. Okay, I'm on board now.
Yep. Okay. So they tried that. That didn't work. So they tried a steam engine, and that didn't work. So it's back to hand cranks.
Because a steam engine seems like it would be hard to do.
A steam engine seems like it would be hard to do in a submarine that's underwater, where you're already the only oxygen that you have is what's in when you sink it.
It's limited. So, they don't have tanks or anything.
Putting a fire in that's going to suck out the oxygen even faster.
All of it. Well, and then
really
where's your exhaust?
Yeah, it seems really dumb. So neither of those...
Unless you have a tube going way up above the water. Like a 90-foot chimney or something you can go with.
In January 1863, it's going to be tested. They have 4 crew members to turn the propeller, so 2 on each side, cranking. That's the propeller guy. And they got a fifth crew member who's actually steering the boat.
Okay, now I imagine that this is just big enough for those number of people. How big? Do we know how big?
No,
it's big.
I don't have the measurement. Okay. I don't have the measurements on this, but I do on the Hunley when we get to the Hunley.
Okay, so that's good. Now, also a question I have. Glass existed, obviously. Was there a lookout? No. No. They are just They sit up on the top, they look, and we want to go that way, and they drop in, and I'm
jumping ahead a little bit, but the idea here as a submarine isn't that it's going to be like underwater the whole time.
They're not. They're not searching for anything. Really.
No. The idea here is that they drive on the surface, and then when they get to their target, they
see it, line it up, drop down, and then
go forward,
straight.
and then
And hope that your people are rowing at a rate that would keep them on target.
Well, it's one propeller, so it's a screw propeller.
Okay, so they can. All right, so they're just running the gears. They're not. They can't.
Yep.
So they can't steer.
No, they have a guy.
The driver
can steer. Yes,
can. But once he's in the water, he basically just hold that straight because he can't see shit.
Yeah. Once you're underwater, you can't. Once those hatches are closed and you're buttoned up, you're
go.
not seeing anything. Yep.
Let's go.
Hope for the best.
Hope we do. What's the end result? What they are ramming?
Yeah, you're right. It is, and I'll get to the armament here in a little bit. But yes, that's your idea. Is what's called a torpedo, but it's not really a torpedo. It's a fucking bomb on a stick. It's a bomb on a stick. It's a bomb on a stick that they ram into the hole, and then hope that it doesn't.
That they're gonna be okay.
We'll get there. Foreshadowing. So it is tested in January 1863 with a five-member crew. It was deemed slow.
Well, no fault of its own.
Yeah,
pedal faster.
Pedal
Get
faster.
It going. You can do this.
But it was successful enough that it would be towed to Fort Morgan in February 1863. Anyways, it attempted to raid the blockade at Mobile, Alabama, but foul weather and heavy chop sank the sub.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, it goes out to
foul weather and heavy chop. So heavy chop. I assume that's like
that's
like a lot of waves, whatever, choppy seas.
So they're on the surface,
choppy water, whatever.
Yeah, they're on the surface with the hatch open. Bad weather. Lots of chop, a lot of water getting into the sub. They're like, bail out. The crew does successfully get out of it, so that's good. But it's now at the bottom of Mobile Bay. So
seems like maybe they should have put a very small window at least, so that if water got like that, they could drop under it, and then they'd be fine. Like you're not taking on water.
Put a little
but
water
you know what?
So you can button up.
Hindsight's 2020, and they hadn't experienced this before, so
sure haven't. So the sub's gonna be
fair play. That's fine. Okay.
The sub's gonna be lost, Johnny. It's gone.
Yeah.
So third time's a charm here, though. Third time's a charm, because after the loss of the American diver, aka the Pioneer 2, and the Pioneer, Hunley and his crew would set out to build a bigger, better, safer, faster version.
Always bigger.
Always bigger.
Love
bigger,
that.
better, safer, faster.
Failed. Let's make it bigger. Okay, keep going.
That'll do it. And to start,
that's all we need. It was just too small. We needed 3 men on each side rowing and 2 drivers, and so make it bigger and see what happens. Right?
Are you sure you don't know anything about the
Hunley?
Because that's pretty much exactly.
Tommy, I assure you, I don't know shit about any of this, but I know how stupid humans are, and I know how they think, and I'm pretty dumb, and so I can follow that train of thought. Like I'm right there with them.
You're right there, because their thought is, that was kind of slow, but if we double the people, that doubles the power. You double the size, double the speed, right? Except when you double the size, you're doubling the weight, and then there goes your mechanical advantage.
Wait, hold up.
Anyways,
so you're telling me that 150 horsepower in a Honda Civic is different than 150 horsepower in a Ford F-350?
Yeah, apparently it's a little different. Anyways, so to start, the legend has it that Hunley is going to use an old cast-off steam boiler for the Hunley's hull, which is hilarious to think of. Like that they use a steam boiler to build, but it's not true. It's not true. It is.
Oh, I was so disappointed because that's literally just Southern ingenuity.
That's Confederate ingenuity. That's Confederate.
Yeah, you look around and you're like, what we got? Oh, make a freaking submarine out of that.
Submarine out of an old steamer boiler? Yeah, no, that's not.
But that didn't have. That's just a legend.
It's a legend because the Hunley was a purpose-built hull for this. Like it was purposely built.
And see, that's good. You want that.
You want that.
You don't want anything repurposed if you're going to be putting it under the water.
Yeah,
I sure make everything new.
I sure
clean
would.
it up, make it nice.
This time, the Hunley sub, like you said, would have a crew of 8, 7 to crank with 1 steering.
Still only 1 steer, so okay, that's fine. But
this
7
time
to crank? Why wouldn't they go 9 and make 4 and 4 on each?
Yeah, right. I'm not.
I don't know. Maybe it was staggered with the seating. Who knows?
Maybe. In any case, doesn't much matter. The craft itself, the Hunley, is 40 feet long, a little over 40 feet long. With that crew of 7 cranking and 1 steering, it got a whopping 3.5 horsepower off the crank.
Off the folks cranking it.
Yeah, 3.5 horsepower. So
40 feet is significant. Like
it's significant, yeah.
I mean, I guess I don't know the internal dimensions.
You can fit 8 guys. That's what you can fit.
Yeah,
it's
but
not.
You give me a 40-foot boat now. You can fit a whole lot more than 8 people.
Yeah, that's 40 feet long, Johnny. That's not like.
No, I get it. I get it.
There's
even then, line up people on 40 feet. It's gonna be like 40, 50 people. But in any case. In any case,
they got a whopping 3.5 horsepower.
That's big.
The sub would be raised and sunk by 2 ballasts on the side of the sub that would be manually flooded to sink it, and then water pumped out manually by addition set of hand pumps. So, like, if you want to sink it, you open up some valves, the ballast flood, it sinks just like a modern sub. And if you want to raise it, you have to push air into those ballasts, so you get a couple of pumps.
Force the water out, yeah.
Force the water out, and air comes in, and you can go back up.
Okay.
So actually, pretty like, I mean, that's basic.
Yeah, reasonable.
That's the essential. Like, that's essentially how subs work through now. I mean, they've got ballasts, and I mean, it's not horribly uncommon. Minus the whole manual part. That is definitely.
Well, I mean, it's all
manual people pumping, but anyways,
we got rid of that at the end of the Civil War.
The amount of air that was in the sub was what was in there when the hatches were closed. So there's no way to get more air into the sub. So you're really limited of being underwater or with the hatches closed as long as it takes for carbon monoxide to not kill you. So
what amount of time might that be?
It cannot be. I don't know. It can't be that long. Cannot be that long.
I wonder if this is one of those things that like would make sense where
several,
it's like, hey,
maybe
you
like an hour.
got 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, something like that.
I imagine
it's something that'll surprise you where it's like, oh no, you can be down there for like 4 hours and you'll be fine.
I don't know. This is just me guessing.
You got to figure it's at least 30 minutes, right?
Yeah, like 30 minutes to an hour, maybe.
At least.
I'm guessing a little bit of time before the
And I would also imagine is how fast they want to go.
Yeah,
how fast you really cranking.
Yeah, if you're breathing heavy,
produce a lot more CO2.
Yeah, don't breathe a lot. Yeah. The slower you breathe, the better you are. There were 2 hatches, Johnny, one at the front, one at the rear. The hatches were larger than originally intended, but still 16.5 inches wide and 21 inches long. You are not a big guy going into that damn thing. 16.5 inches wide, 21 inches long. Your small guys are getting in there. Small guys.
I don't know if I could fit in that.
I don't know if I could fit in that, to be honest.
I am 5'4.5", 5'5" on a good day. I don't know if I could fit through 16.5
inches.
Okay, so I'd got to be 16 this way, which I could fit there. That's not going to be comfortable though.
No.
Like I'm not going to want it. It's going to be like one of those spelunking videos you see where people crawling down into fucking caves
and that's
crawling through holes and shit. Don't do that. That's wild. So that's basically what that is.
And that's the problem, is the holes were bigger than they were initially intended to be, but still really small, and it took a lot of effort to get in and out. So if there was an emergency...
and also, the people that you're sending down in there are not your biggest, strongest people who can crank those motors super fast.
No, they're not.
It's me after I've lost 30 pounds. Yeah. Essentially, are the people you're sending down there.
And if there was an emergency, like the sub took on water unexpectedly, you're not getting out of that hole.
No, one maybe 2 people.
Very quickly, no.
Yeah, maybe 2 people are going to make it out in time.
Yep. So inside of the hole, it was 4 feet 3 inches tall. So, not a lot of, not great, not a lot of room.
I just had to do like
that. If you're sit down, you're okay. I mean, but you're not standing up in it. Like it's cramped.
That's probably about the height between like a car's floorboard and its roof. Essentially, it's probably pretty close to that.
It's like the inside of my armored truck at work, because I'm in one of these small little trucks. It's probably about that size.
I get the little one.
I get the little one. Anyways, by July 1863, the boat was ready for demonstration, and which let that sink in for a second. I said July 1863, the boat's ready.
Yeah, right.
In February, the Pioneer 2 sank. So the new boat, which
February
is bigger, better, faster, safer. Yeah, yeah. So the new boat, the better, faster, safer, all that fun stuff, was designed between February, when the Pioneer 2 sank,
That part of
and
February.
July 1863. So in less than 5 months,
March, April, May, June. That is 4 full months that they had, and then a couple of partial months on either end of it. I mean, if you're telling me you can't make a fully functioning submarine in 5 months, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. Find a new line of work, pal. Because I mean, these things need to be churned out a whole lot faster than that.
Designed and built, and put in for testing in less than 5 months. I don't want to be the guy getting that damn thing. Nope. Call me nope.
Yeah, you'd have to pay me $50,000 to test it. Let alone try to use it to sink Union ship.
Yeah, I want $50,000
with a stick
in gold.
with essentially what you told me was a stick with a friggin' mine on the end of it.
Yeah,
they're just hope for the best.
So in July 1863, under the supervision of Admiral Franklin Buchanan, the new boat did sink a Confederate coal float boat that's like one of these, like it's just a float boat, like basically think of a wooden dock that's sitting out there.
So yeah, it's one of the docks that people put out now as just a spot to swim out to. You can lounge out on it, jump off it,
basically it's like that. That's used to transport
wood
coal.
with flotation.
Yeah, that's used to transport coal. It did sink that as a test. Like, hey, look, we can sink things with it. And it did sink it. Cool.
All right.
So they're like, all right, concept proved. So it was going to be shipped.
Can definitely sink a Union warship.
Yeah. So it was shipped by rail, of all things, to Charleston, South Carolina, arriving the 12th of August, 1863.
How many times do they have to stop and switch rails? Between the states?
Well, Johnny, it arrives in August of 1863. It was tested in July.
Could have arrived in late July had they had a uniform rail system down in the south. System.
Sure could have. When it does arrive, it is immediately seized by the Confederate Army, leaving Hunley and his team to only operate as advisors. Like, the military is now taking control of this secret ultimate weapon.
Now wait, they made that for them, right? It was
they were going to they were making it so that they could get that $50,000 reward. Remember, if they sunk a boat, they get $50,000. This was a private
for the Confederate,
a private enterprise,
and now the Confederacy
is now
like,
government enterprise. Yes,
now you can't have the $50,000.
States' rights, and by states' rights we mean federal Confederate rights.
No, they mean states' rights to your property. We get that.
Yeah, we get that now.
This is what they meant. The states have the rights to do whatever they want.
Yeah.
This is essentially what
the state has a right to do it. Yep. So
cool.
At least Hunley and his team are now left as advisors only. They have no legal possession of the vessel anymore. Navy Lieutenant John A. Payne is going to volunteer to be the new boat's captain. That was still without official title because the boat hasn't really been named anything as of yet. It's still just kind of the sub. John Payne was a part of the c.s.s. Shikara, and he took 7 men from the Shikara and the c.s.s. Palmetto State to operate her, so 7 men in total, plus him.
Okay.
On the 29th of August, 1863, while running a test run, stupid Payne is going to accidentally step on the dive lever for the boat while the hatch is still open, sinking the boat.
Hold up. A dive. Okay, I guess this is something I never really even thought about. Was what button do you push? What switch? What lever do you pull to get it to start sinking?
Yeah.
There's a lever, and this dumbass,
when he was getting
clambering around inside of this vessel because it's tight, it's small, it's hard to maneuver. Stepped on it. Because there's obviously not a safety mechanism on it that you have to release first. And sank it.
Yeah, he sure did. Payne and 2 other of the sailors would escape, but the other 5 would drown with the boat.
Oh no!
The drowned
Tommy,
sailors.
It was funny until then.
Yeah, the drowned sailors were
now
Michael Caine.
Dead people, and it's not as funny.
I got names for you, Johnny. Michael Caine, Nicholas Davis, Frank Doyle, John Kelly, and this is the best name ever. If I ever have it, I never will have another kid, but if I have another kid, I'm going to name Absalom Williams. It's Absolum. Absalom Williams. That is a name. That is a name you definitely don't hear anymore. Probably because he died on this. Yeah, it's a good name. Absalom. It's a good. It's a hearty name.
Yeah. See, if they had never invented the submarine or modified or built or whatever the hell,
you'd never know the name of.
If they never did that, there's a chance that Absalom.
I'm assuming it's pronounced Absalom. It's Absolum. Absalom.
Anyway,
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
There's a good chance that guy could have had kids. He could have named them Absalom Jr. And we would have...
That name could have lived on, yeah.
Absalom instead of Tyler's today or something.
Yeah, so much better than Tyler. Anyways, the Confederate Army is going to raise the sub by orders of PGT Beauregard. He's going to put Lieutenant George E. Dixon in charge because, well, Payne sank it, so you're not allowed back on that.
You don't get to correct your mistake. Now, how do you go about... raising it? I guess the same way they went about raising ships and everything that they did back then.
I didn't look. No, I have no. I haven't looked into it, but yeah, I mean, I know you can because they raised the
boats and ropes.
When you look at the when you look at the our ironclad battle, that was the Confederate ironclad was raised. Yeah. It was raised up to make it. So I don't know how it actually is done, but they raised it. So.
But to be fair, like ships have been around at this point for hundreds of years.
Oh yeah, millennia and forever. Boats.
Yeah, and so people have figured out a way to recover sunken ships by now. So there was a way. It was just
I don't know what it was.
Maybe we should look into that sometime, Tommy. We're trying to teach people things.
Well, hey, I can only research so much.
And for a future episode, maybe we'll have a method of raising ships.
If you want me to,
enough interest.
If you want me to have the time to research everything on these subjects before we put out a video, then pay me money so I can quit my job. So I can do
that. Yeah. Drop your Venmo, Tommy.
Yeah, I don't even have it. I don't even know what that is. I'm so old. Anyways,
come on.
This is beside the point. To make sure nothing went wrong this time, Hunley himself is going to join the crew on the next test run. So, Hunley volunteers. Said, "Hey, I'm going to get in the boat with you guys next time." So, I paid for it.
Bad idea.
So I want to make sure it doesn't crash. Bad idea. Foreshadowing!
This is Bezos going into space on his own rocket ship.
Yeah, but probably don't do that. There was a perceived power struggle between the boat, over the boat, before it set sail on the second test run between Hunley and Dixon.
Why do you say perceived?
Well, it's not like there was reports like it was like all right, since Hunley's going to be on the boat, like he'll be on the boat and he'll command it, but Dixon's in command of the boat, but Dixon wasn't on the boat during the second test run, so was there a power struggle? Was it not a power struggle?
It's a matter of the person who funded the operation essentially versus the person who was put in charge of it after they stole it, right?
Yeah. So after they stole it, you're right. So Hunley is going to go, he's going to go out with the ship instead of Dixon, but after the sub, goes down, submerges on October 15th, 1863, it never comes back.
All right, so it did half its job.
It went down.
Yep.
And it never came back.
That was that.
And so they're waiting, and they're like, hey, any minute now it's going to come back. And it didn't.
What did they figure out? Was there a leak in it?
No,
there was something wrong, right? Something failed at some point.
Something failed at some point, but we don't know exactly what it was, and it kills all 8 of its crew members this time, Johnny. So we have Horace Hunley, the funder of this boat,
the money behind it,
the money behind it, the guy who got the crew together to build it.
Yeah.
He's
down
with
it. Jeff Bezos is gone.
Jeff Bezos is gone. He's got Thomas Parks, Henry Beard, R. Brooke Banks.
Henry Beard.
Yeah, Henry Beard is his name. R. Brooke Banks, John Marshall, Charles McHugh, Joseph Patterson, and Charles L. Sprague.
And these are, and again, this is all
volunteers are going
testing. Testing.
This isn't combat.
This is not men dying for their country where they are given,
in battle.
It's still it's just as awful, and it's just the same loss of life. But if it's in a battle or something like that, at least there's the kind of
battle.
You can tell yourself they were fighting for what they believed in, and they died for a reason and all that. The reason these folks died was because of shitty engineering.
Yep.
Essentially.
Yeah, you're right there. Yep. So after these 2 successful tests, the Confederate Army raises her a second time, and after being raised, it is going to be named the H.L. Hunley in name of the financier who died. Well,
inside
it. Don't know if I want to.
Why didn't they name it the Ghost of Hunley? Or something like that?
What boat are we gonna get in? Oh, the Hunley. Oh, hey, cool. That's kind of a cool name. Where we get that? It's named after the inventor who died in it.
Yeah, died. Not in one that looks like this that he tested, and then they made it better.
This one. This
literally
one.
Right there he was sitting. Literally, right there. Couldn't get out. Those are his scratch marks as he tries to claw his way to pry it open and get out at the last minute. Didn't work.
It will be referenced in a lot of if you look at history books and stuff, it'll be referenced a lot of times as c.s.s. Hunley because that's like the name of the Confederate boats. But it was never actually adopted by the Confederate Navy. It was never commissioned by the Confederate Navy. So it doesn't actually ever get the official title c.s.s.
So they stole just enough of it to prevent somebody from collecting 50,000, but not enough of it to give it an official name in their military.
Yes, exactly.
Well
so it is
done.
Its real name should be the H.L. Hunley after the initials of Hunley. They probably, the Confederacy at this point were probably wanting to make sure that the damn thing worked. I mean, it has sunk twice. The other 2 that came before didn't really work either. So maybe they're just like, before we commission it and become a laughing stock of the Union.
Let's make sure one that works. Can we get one that will sink and come back?
Sink it first. After raising it the second time, Beauregard is going to say that the vessel should no longer be used to attack from underwater. So he's scrapping the whole submarine portion of the submarine. So at this point, this is where at the very beginning of the episode, I'm like, it's a submarine that sank a ship. But not as a submarine.
Okay, so it sounds like it sank it in kind of the same way as back with the Battle of the Ironclads. The North had their boat that essentially it was all steel, and so it was water level with a turret on top.
Yeah, they're kind of going that level.
They turned their submarine into that essentially. So where they're like, oh, we'll go and do that thing, but that's it.
So the very initial weapon was a floating explosive charge, which would be towed by the Hunley. So as the Hunley approached...
Towed behind it.
So as the Hunley approached the military vessel, it would sink. The bomb would be towed behind it and touch it. And as the bomb grabbed onto the enemy vessel, once it was pulled away, bang. That was the point of it. But
that's clever, though.
That's not bad. No, that's not bad.
Well
but
done.
when Beauregard said no more sinky, we don't want to do that. That kind
Ruins
of eliminates that as a plan. So the next plan that they come up with is a Spar Torpedo, which is a copper cylinder containing 135 pounds of black powder, which is a ton, and would be attached to the front of the Hunley and would be rammed into the enemy boat and detonated either via copper wire. So there would be a battery and a copper wire that would go through the Hunley out to this charge. And once they rammed the boat, they can, plunge or detonate.
Boom. Or whatever. Oh, okay. Oh. It's not even just 2 wires that they're like, whoop, and
it could be that.
Collision makes it.
Battery. There's that option. They also had an impact fuse, which was what was being used in a lot of artillery pieces at the time, like artillery shells.
Where it would hit, bang, boom. Go boom.
So they've got that. And there was also one that had barbs on it, which you would ram into the boat, and then as you pull away, basically a ripcord would detonate the that's the best option if you have the barb, because you would ram it into the boat.
It's a sticky bomb.
It's a sticky bomb. You ram it into the boat, and when your boat pulls away, there's a cord that detonates it. Yeah. That's the best. That's the best option.
Because you're going backwards.
Because you're going backwards away from the boom.
Now, how long is this pole, this narwhal horn that they have on the front of their submarine? How long is it?
It's about 16 feet, Johnny. So you're about 16 feet away from 100+ pounds of black powder.
Tom, you'll have to fill me in here. I do not know guns. I do not know explosives. I do not know any of that. 16 feet from something. I'm about 16 feet from the end of my garage now. Not a chance I'm going to let anybody blow anything up from
135 pounds of black powder, and you're about 16 feet away from it.
I want 13 pounds. I don't want 1.3 pounds of black powder that far away.
A pound of black powder is about equivalent to a stick of dynamite. So
I was going to ask what a stick of TNT was. So about a pound.
So about a pound.
130 sticks of dynamite.
Yeah. So think about putting
sitting right over there.
Yeah, a pound of gunpowder, 16 feet away from you.
And I'm in a vessel that has sunk so many times.
Twice already.
That they don't want to put it underwater anymore.
Yeah.
And now you want me to bang this ramrod into a ship and let it explode? And then what?
Yep. After the whole, but that's again, the Spar torpedoes is again assuming you're going to be underwater. So when that gets shot, the Spar torpedo has to be modified with an iron bar that angles it downward, so that way the explosive charge is underneath the waterline of the boat that you hit. If you put the explosive charge above the waterline, it does nothing. You have to have it below the waterline.
It's gonna dent. It's gonna do some damage, but
it'll explode.
Sink the boat.
You'll explode a hole
because it's not gonna start taking out on water.
Yeah, you explode a hole in the boat above the waterline. Who cares? You got a new window.
Yep.
You explode it below the waterline.
And now it starts taking on water. It's in trouble. I mean, at least they thought of that, I guess.
So third time's a charm, Johnny. They're going to look out at the. They're not going to test it this third time. They're just going to go ahead. And
why bother, right? You know what's going to happen. It's going to sink to the bottom of a friggin' thing, and then you're going to have to pull it up again. It's just going to cost more money.
The target is the USS Housatonic, which is on the night of 17th of February, 1864. So 64, where I was right at the beginning of the episode. 64. Anyways, I don't know why I question myself. On the night of the 17th of February, 1864, the H.L. Hunley is going to set out for the USS Housatonic. It is a 1,240 long-ton, wooden-hulled, steam-powered sloop of war equipped with 13 large cannons. So this is a...
Hold on, a 1,234 feet?
Long ton? I don't know what that... I have no idea. That's what it's described as long ton.
All right, you've read that, and then you decided not to look up what long...
I'm assuming it's some naval term about weight. I don't know, Johnny. Look it up while you're there. You got it for me. You got it. Anyways, it's a not a small boat, but it's not a battleship or anything. It's only 13 cannons on the gun on the boat, so it's not huge. But that's their target. The Housatonic was stationed 5 miles off the shore of Charleston Harbor. The Hunley, commanded by Lieutenant Dixon, this time actually in the boat, is going to successfully sneak up on the Housatonic, and it's going to ram its torpedo against its side while the Hunley is still surface. So this is where, again, I say, yes, it's a submarine that did successfully sink a military vessel, but does it count because it wasn't really it wasn't submerged, so was it really a submarine at that point?
Well, okay, so... I mean, you're arguing semantics here. Essentially, it's a submarine. Just because it's not submersed doesn't make it not a submarine. It may not be acting as a submarine, but it was built. I mean,
I get. Yeah, I guess I get you. Anyways, it's gonna ram its torpedo in around 8:45 in the p.m. Within 5 minutes of detonation, the Housatonic has sunk, along with 5 of its crew. Most of its crew gets off, but 5 do sink with the vessel. So, mission accomplished. However, the Hunley doesn't return from her voyage. The bomb goes off. And they're like, all right, they're waiting on the ship. They're in Charleston waiting for the Hunley return. And hours tick by and days tick by and it never comes back.
What the South made
was a kamikaze
boats. Yeah, it was kamikaze boats. That's what they made. They're like, we just put a bunch of explosive on the nose of a water vessel. and ram it into another water vessel, that other water vessel is going down. What's going to happen to your vessel? Oh, who cares? I don't know.
Who cares?
We didn't test it this time. The last couple times didn't go well. They sunk. But this time, we also don't know, and it turns out it sunk. But those dead guys at the bottom of the ocean,
heroes,
$50,000 going their way. Oh wait, no, because they took it. The Confederate took it, so not right. But they had the potential of $50,000 in Monopoly money going their way had they been able to get out of their submarine.
So nobody knows really what happened. There were reports that the Hunley was seen after the attack.
The 160 tons of TNT blew up
not
the front
tons,
of the boat and
pounds.
sunk it.
So there were reports that the Hunley was seen after the attack on the Housatonic by the commander of the battery of Marshall that reportedly saw the signal from Hunley saying that it was returning to base. That signal being what's called a blue light, which is ironically not actually blue. It's just a lantern.
Like,
it's just a lantern. Lit.
Yeah,
okay. 2 lanterns lit on the bow that show that, hey, we're still alive, we're coming. Archaeology from the
somebody saw that.
Yeah, archaeology from the Hunley itself said that the lantern was not blue; it was just a regular, normal lantern. The blue light term comes from the U.S. Navy blue light, which was basically like a signal light. It didn't.
Sure.
A lot of times it was blue because blue was be able to be seen farther than white light at night, but it wasn't actually blue. In any case,
that's fair. But so at some point after
the bomb went off, allegedly somebody saw a light.
Lit a light.
This was allegedly also confirmed because one of the survivors on the Housatonic said that he also saw a lantern lit on the water.
Okay.
Could have been a lantern that just happened to fall off a boat that just exploded, but said he saw a lantern on the water.
Also, maybe the submarine was on fire above the water.
Well, there could be that. One theory is that the Hunley was accidentally rammed and sunk by the USS Candaigua, Canadaigua, whatever the hell that says. Canadaigua. Well, anyways, whatever it is, it was accidentally sunk by that when it was going to save the Housatonic, like get whatever crew it can get off. It just accidentally rammed into it.
All right, so that's the first theory. Bang, blew it up, and they're like, "All right, guys, we're coming home." And then some other boat came along, like, "Oh shit, we got to go help them." Ran it over and sunk it.
Yeah, ran it over. Oops. It's like me when I'm driving.
If only their submarine was able to submerse.
Yeah, right. It's like me when I'm driving in my work truck and I hit a curb, like hit every single curb at work. I'm like, I see that curb, boom, it hit it. Just a bump. So that's the USS boat. They're like,
all right, oh shit, oh god, oh.
Must have been a whale.
Oh, we're fine. Don't worry about it.
just a curb.
Probably just a sea monster. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah, it's fine. Another theory is that the Hunley got caught up on weeds when it went underwater trying to avoid Union patrols.
But it wasn't supposed to go underwater.
It wasn't supposed to go underwater.
You know what I think happened?
Go underwater.
You know what I think happened? I think they went underwater to avoid Union patrols, and the same thing that happened to the other ones happened.
Well, that
didn't come back up.
That was a predominant theory for a very, very long time. But the Hunley was saying they never knew where it was. Nobody ever found it. The Confederacy never raised it again. That was to say until the 1970s, when an E. Lee Spence of the Sea Research Society claimed that he had discovered the Hunley and claimed that he discovered it because he found artifacts from the Hunley and like say, hey, yep.
Hot damn, okay. All right, guys, want to look? Yeah, come see.
On December 29th, 1970.
Were they able to?
Yes, eventually. We'll get there. So on December 29th, 1978, the H.L. Hunley's placement was put on National Registry of Historic Places when his location that he put on the map said, hey, look, that's where I found it at. This is where this artifact came from. That's where I found it at. It was like, all right, well, that's the sinking location. That's where we think it's sunk at.
Bang, yeah, right there.
In 1995, divers under Clive Cussler actually... 1995, yeah. Not that long ago.
Later.
Clive Cussler actually went down with divers and finds the Hunley buried in soot about 100 yards away from where the Housatonic location actually was. So where the Housatonic location sunk, 100 yards away, there's the Hunley.
Yeah.
That's not very far at all.
Yeah, it did not last very long after sinking it.
Cussler would claim that he discovered the Hunley's true location and would start a year-long debate with the Sea Research with E. Lee Spence. They would both fight about who actually discovered it. Who actually discovered it. There'd be lawsuits between the two. Both would file lawsuits about defamation, all that fun stuff. At the end result was that E. Lee Spence actually did this, like his original map, like where he put an X on the map was
that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was it. That was close enough that was like, you
went to my X and you did a radius, and then you found more, but it's the same shit.
Same shit. Yep. On August 8th, 2000, Johnny, August 8th, 2000, at 8:37 in the a.m., the Hunley is actually going to break the surface because it was raised for the first time in 136 years.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's raised. So what actually happened to the Hunley, Johnny? Well, the crew basically blew themselves up. Go figure.
You don't say.
You put a 135-pound gunpowder explosive charge within 16 feet of your boat. What do you think was going to happen?
Yeah, some of that boat's not going to make it. And so, like what I said was happening, it blew up part of itself. And took on water and sunk,
the whole...
or...
Yeah, no. So the hull was completely intact.
Okay.
So that negates the whole got rammed thing.
Right.
The problem is the emergency ballasts that were designed, there were emergency ballasts on the boat. So you had the two main ballasts that fill with water or fill with air, depending on what you want.
Right.
There was also lead weights at the bottom of the boat that could be dropped by a lever to raise the boat up quickly if needed to in emergency. So
all right. So basically they weighted the boat a certain amount, and they're like, we need to fill these ballasts up now to equal the total amount of weight we need to sink it.
Yes.
Then you fill them up with air, and it'll come back up. But if you're
drop
unable
the weight,
to come back up, if those ballasts bust, whatever else, you can just cut all those weights off the bottom, and then you're buoyant.
The predominant theory is when it was trying to escape, it sank itself and then got caught up in weeds and they drowned. Well, they didn't drown. The predominant theory is
suffocated,
that they sank, and to prevent suffocation, they opened up emergency ports to let water in and drown themselves so they didn't suffocate a horrible death from carbon monoxide poisoning, although I would rather go with carbon monoxide.
I was going to say,
drowning, but
that's not what you do. You go with the carbon monoxide because you go to sleep. You just, night.
Yeah, that was the predominant.
Weak, everything.
That was a predominant
theory.
So
probably what actually happened was they opened it up to try to, okay, guys, this is our last ditch effort. We need to try to escape.
Yeah, that was
opened it up to try to get out, but then once that water rushes in, once everything else, you can't do it. It's not.
That feasible. Was the theory. But when they found the Hunley and they raised the Hunley and they got it up, the emergency valves to let water in weren't open. The emergency ballasts weren't released. And every one of their bodies was found in the exact same position as what there would be as a crew, showing no signs of trauma, like as in like they were trying to like save themselves. They were all seated
people
where they were supposed to be.
They're scratching the walls.
No, they were all seated where they were supposed to be seated, indicating that it was an instantaneous death.
How?
So when they discovered So what happened is the copper in front of the Hunley was located in a way that showed that it was 16 feet away from it when it exploded. So the bomb was 16 feet away from the Hunley when it exploded. The predominant theory now is that there was a pressure wave that when the torpedo exploded crushed them all inside. Like just, you get too close to an explosion, there's a wave that comes out. That wave,
and so it was just like essentially if they had dropped to however many feet below the sea, pressure just, and then that's it.
Yes,
they're gone.
There were tests done and conducted by the Duke University's trauma specialists that show that this is a completely and totally viable theory, and based on all the other physical evidence, the fact that the hull was intact, the fact that the emergency ballasts weren't released, the fact that they were all sit in there, where they would have been when the bomb went off, and no signs of struggle for life, no nothing, that it was probably concussive force that killed him. Now, I do have to say, and that's the predominant theory now, is that that's what happened.
Sure.
The bomb, they were too close to the bomb when it went off, and they died from concussion.
Design flaw that they couldn't have possibly have tested.
And
it blowing up, and then now they're dead.
Yeah,
because of
and the Duke,
force.
like I said, the Duke University trauma specialists also showed that it would be possible that a concussive force could have killed them without damaging the hull. Could have done. Now, I have to say that there is some speculation to whether this is right or not, because the Navy specialists say that the test was inconclusive. The Naval History and Heritage Command disputes it because they said the test is inconclusive because the test that the Duke University did wasn't with the same thickness of metal, wasn't with the same density of metal, and wasn't with the same powder charge as what could have potentially been used. So
so Duke University essentially said that it is a possible thing for this type of event to happen. But they didn't replicate that event with the same things that happened in this boat. And so that's why it's inconclusive. It's not because it couldn't have happened. It was they didn't match it up. They weren't doing a true test of this event.
So
they were
the Naval
doing a test of how could this have possibly happened.
Yeah. So the Naval History and Heritage Command says it's still them.
Maybe
they sunk themselves and then got stuck. That's what they're going with. But really, think about it logically for a second. The bomb's really close. Concussion rays are a thing. The boat wound up sinking, not because any vessel or thing was open, but it slowly would take on water as it sinks. It was 100 yards seaward side of the Housatonic, not because it was moving, but because the currents would have drug it out. That would have drug it out almost exactly that. I'm really going with they were just too close to the bomb when it went off. I'm going with that.
Because the other thing, like I think the biggest thing there is they were in their spots.
Yeah, either that or it was carbon monoxide poisoning. Like they were buttoned up when the bomb went off, and they're all
just trying to go.
They're just like they forgot to open it up to get more. Yeah, there could have been that as well.
Maybe.
Bomb went off. Killed him.
I figure
bomb went off. Killed him.
With carbon monoxide poisoning, somebody's going to see that other people are dropped.
Bomb went off. Killed him. Bomb went off. Killed him. Now, today, if you want to see the H.L. Hunley, you can do so. It is on display. You can get guided tours of it at the Conservation Laboratory at Warren Lash Conservation Center on weekends. They have a replica that you can also climb into. So if you want to see how big that hole was to get into it, you can climb into a replica of it. Or you can see the actual Hunley. It is slowly being preserved. They have to do this over a long period of time in water similar to what was in the bay. They're trying to restore it and keep it as
okay.
Metal rusts when it's in air, so they got to do this slowly to prevent it from rusting.
Also, salt water's a bit.
Salt water is not great. Yeah. So if you want to see it, the whole coronavirus things have expired. You can go and get tours now.
That's it for this week in Historic Hindsight. Thanks for listening. Be sure to subscribe, rate, and review, and join us next week when we talk about the labor union wars.